Good evening now, right? Yeah, 6 o'clock. Good evening and welcome to the new and improved Sunday edition of the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. I'm Big Daddy Gonzo. Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Network. And I'm once again in charge and in control. And I'm noticing from the setup angle that like the camera is like really closing up in my face. It's like, it's okay.
I think you look great.
I'm a producer. I can handle this
from here.
Well,
you know what they say, I can't see you from my house, so you look great.
Thanks, you weirdo.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good camera adjustment, though, because I was like, wow, I was like extreme close-up. Seated across for me, matriculating on your screen from left to right and perfectly centered and somewhat coiffed and fresh and dewy-eyed.
Wow. That's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. Coiffed? What exactly does coiffed mean? I'm sorry.
Coiffed is something that we haven't had to deal with in a long time. It's the Mazz!
Hi, everybody.
Hey, you actually get like a tile underneath you and everything.
I get a name too? A name tag?
Yeah, D-A-M-A-Z-Z, with an exclamation mark.
Name tag's on the way.
Yes, and co-host. Co-host, you're fancy.
Life's about titles, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's pretty easy. It's Big Daddy Gonzo, host. I'm sporting, by the way, the throwback Gonzo Radio shirts that were purchased about 6 years ago with no sleeves because I'm doing the producer thing today all day. We're doing 2 shows on Sunday, and then we do the flagship show on Monday, where I will change reading glasses to the hip, round, black circle frames, so that I look. But these are for nerdy stuff.
Well,
which is sports, which is what we're into.
May I join the nerdom if you don't mind?
Yes, nerd out.
Whoa,
those are spiffy.
These are El Nerdos, exactly.
Those are spiffy. Wow, and you are not me. I have so totally got my graphic all up under your chin.
They do help me see. So,
well,
that's why we wear them. I mean, we're not young chickens anymore.
But you do have the fancy yellow arms.
You know why they're yellow, don't you?
Because you bought them at the fucking dollar store.
No, these are expensive glasses. These glasses cost me well north of $34.
$34? Holy shit!
Yeah.
$34.
No, they're yellow because I couldn't get steel or gold, so I did want to get something a little bit more creative, more towards that sort of genre color. And I'm terrible with colors because I'm partially colorblind. But I did find these, so yeah, these are my fancy nerdy glasses. Almost yellow. What would you call it? What color would that be?
That would be day glow yellow.
Okay, I like it.
Yes,
day glow. Unlike
Unlike the orangish yellow that you have on your shirt, which is closer to Steeler
which
colors.
is also Gonzo Radio.
Yes,
very nice.
Yes, we are. We're all about the branding synergy. We definitely love to have the synergistic feel. Like with the backdrops and all this crap. So.
Right.
But we've got a few things to get to. There was concern that there wasn't going to be that much of a major sports happening, except for the 145th Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, fortunately, we had a horse race yesterday.
Fortunately, we had something that made everybody lose their shit.
Oh my!
Including myself. I wanted to screenshot and put up my post, which was, congratulations, Churchill down. I guess you're not worried about your credibility anymore.
Right.
And there was really quite the kerfuffle.
Yes.
And the kerfuffle extended across all social media platforms even.
You did.
There were people angry on Instagram.
Yeah, well, of course, you're going to stick around for the rant. I'm going to slowly kind of allude to what I feel about what had happened too, but just briefly about yesterday. Yeah, the winning horse, 65 to 1 shot.
Right.
Yeah.
And what?
Country House. Now, I'm sure you have the graphic to support this.
I have one. Yeah.
Yes. We have to be very careful because we're not allowed to actually probably show the horse itself. So we got as close as we possibly can.
It's because of those bastards at YouTube.
Yeah.
They're flagging us left and right, making copyright claims and blocking our videos.
Little
Last
guys.
week's show had to be deleted.
Yeah, I'm very angry about
because
this.
Key and Peele got really angry, or Key and Peele's probably the publisher or whatever, whoever's in charge of collecting money for showing their shit.
So we're going to be creatively careful from now on, essentially, as to our illustrations and our graphics. So the winner of the race yesterday, of course, Country
was
House.
Actually this country horse.
Yes,
Country House.
65 to 1. Big controversy. Obviously,
you bet $2.
You won a lot.
Back $130.
Plus a few, yeah. Plus a few bucks. Yeah, 132 and change, I think it was. But A little controversy in the race yesterday.
A little bit.
Yep. The leader, pretty much, he was towards the front of the pack most of the race.
Maximum security.
Made his move on the final turn. Created a little bit of a havoc, I'd say. Missed a step, lost a step. The jockey even admitted, being a young horse, he got spooked a little bit on the turn. Kind of kicked out a little bit, hit a horse.
He's a baby. He got nervous when the people started yelling.
I didn't know we had that clip. That's really good.
I know. I do jockey really well.
That's really good. You're a little big to be a jockey.
It's a cross between Latino and Slavic. Because you look at these jockeys, I'm telling you, bro. You see these jockeys, and by the way, huge kudos for NBC, and it's like every year they get better at covering the Derby,
yes,
and more just add more cameras,
yeah,
and they have reporters on horses.
There was a lot of who's who there and the interviews,
they added betting this time though.
Yeah.
Last year they talked about betting a little bit.
What was the
but now they had a guy on there.
What was the Baker Mayfield connection when he was Mount Riders Up? What's the connection between him and there?
I do believe Baker Mayfield is a Kentucky boy.
Okay,
he's
fair.
either a Kentucky boy or a Southern Ohio.
I thought he was from the
like
region.
That.
It made sense in that sense, but
and he's the Cleveland Browns quarterback. So all he's got to do is go down like getting to I-85 to
advice to Baker: the playbook. All right, you should be home. You should be reading you got a big year ahead, Mr. Baker. A lot of pressure. People are talking about the Browns going to the Super Bowl. So this kid,
that's a little nutty.
I mean, it's people. I mean, listen, people can talk about a lot of things, but I mean, some of the experts are considering them a playoff team, and they're going to make a run. And
I told you, Baker Mayfield was a special case.
See.
There's a reason why he went first overall. There's a reason why.
There's a lot of first picks overall quarterbacks that don't make it too. So, but it's not football. Let's finish up our horse racing deal. Very, 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 very crazy finish to the race yesterday. The first actual disqualification in any of the derbies in any of the histories. So pretty crazy. Can you imagine? You know what I felt bad for is after the race, immediately they had the mic in the trainer's face, the trainer of the horse that we thought had won the race. And they were saying about, I guess his brother had trained a horse back in 2003. I don't remember the name of the horse, but had won. So he had a Derby winner in his stable, I guess is however the terminology they use. But regardless, I felt bad for the guy because he was almost in tears, and he was trying to hold back because I think in his mind, of course, in racing, the race isn't official until it becomes official, as we saw. But in his mind, you can see the wheels were turning, and he was ready for the speeches, and they went to the jockey, and it was his first time in the race, and then everything got taken away, just like that. And again, whatever side you fall on, rules were broken. They took a long time. The stewards took a long time to review that.
See, I thought it was chippy. I really did. I thought it was chippy as shit. Because you see races like this all the time, and especially in the instance of this race, it was on a super wet, muddy track.
Okay.
So for horses to be drifting in turns, that has to kind of be expected.
Agreed.
Okay. And on top of the fact that the horses, I would have bought the reasoning being, I would have bought the foul if I would have seen the jockey turn his head. If I'd have seen him turn his head and look to see who he wanted to cut off, he wasn't cutting anybody off.
Oh, it was purely accidental. There was no intent whatsoever. But again,
he is a baby in the crowd. They started yelling and got a little
regardless of whatever caused it, whether it was the rain, whether it was a young horse, whether it was just a mistake by the jockey. An infraction was caused. That horse that was next to him, it's called when they steady, which means they pull up, they lose their momentum. And especially on a wet track, if you lose momentum, there's no way you're going to get back in the race.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, there was an infraction made. They took a long time to look at that. It was, what was it, maybe 15 minutes or so?
Really long time.
And I guarantee you that they did not want to make that change. But there was enough evidence.
They were like, shit.
To have the change made.
We got to do this.
We had a Derby winner. It was 65-1. First time, I think it was the second longest odds ever in any Derby.
It's crazy.
The payouts were off the chart. I think the superfecta payout was $50,000 for a $2 ticket. So, yeah, pretty good return. All right, real quick, let's go over some Derby history because I was able to find some good information about the Derby history.
Such a nerd.
The very first Derby was in 1875.
They had horses back then?
They had horses back then. Let's do some name dropping. Meriwether Lewis Clark, the famed grandson of Lewis and Clark, would be Lewis.
I believe the name is Meriwether.
Meriwether. He actually was the first to initiate the Kentucky Derby, 1875. They were racing at the Louisville Jockey Club. They had about 10,000 spectators for the inaugural race.
Right.
And pretty much the rest is history. 137 races later, whatever the math ends up to be.
And that is the last time they had 10,000 spectators at a race.
Yeah, I mean, now you can see it's global.
150,000 plus there.
I saw videos of horses being taken off of jets that were being flown first class, essentially their own private jets. Of course, the owners and such, the trainers, I'm sure, but these horses have their own jets. That's how much money is in the breeding. It's not in the winning of the races. The horse that won yesterday, the breeding alone, if that horse never races again, that horse will breed for the next however many years it can stud and breed, and they'll make millions upon millions of dollars off that horse.
And let me tell you what, the coverage of it, okay, once again, let's go back to NBC and their coverage. A lot of horse porn. Like a lot of people who really dig horses.
Right.
Like they were showing American Pharaoh's sire, one of his sires is coming up. No, they're probably looking for him next year.
Sure.
And this horse had the pose like,
oh yeah, nice. That's GQ all the way.
With the big eyelashes, like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the horse knows to look at your camera when you're. But
do you think the horses?
Total horse porn.
I mean, in their barns and stuff like that. Do you think they've got posters on the wall of like other famous horses, like maybe Mr. Ed, or maybe I don't know. Give me some other famous horses that talked.
Secretariat. That talked.
Yeah, I don't think Secretariat. Was it Mr. Ed? Was there another horse show?
Well, that would be BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
Which is a really, really dumb cartoon that's out on it.
Works. Horse that talks. That's all I asked for.
It's horrible.
And of course, you got the donkey and Shrek. So I think talking horses are coming back. So I think that for inspiration, the horses, who knows? Maybe they need a little bit of inspiration. I don't think that horse that won needed inspiration. What about the horse that finished 12th? I think he could use a Mr. Ed poster in his barn.
I'll say this. There was a horse that broke out of the 15th spot. They even talked to the guy. The horse was the odds were so long that the horse was off the board, and he was in the 15th spot. Super long shot. That horse came out the gate and went right to the front.
Yeah.
Okay, my roommate and I, Russ and I, we were just like, yes, go long shot, yes.
Well, the other long shot.
Give me the 145 to 1 guy. The 65 to 1 is long enough too. But
yeah. So anyway, great race, great finish. Going to be talked about forever.
Shitty finish, wrong horse.
See, great finish, because that's what makes sports great. Because if there wasn't that finish, people wouldn't be talking about it today. So
I'm going to be even madder if Maximum Security wins the next 2 legs of the triple crown.
Can you imagine?
Then it's going to be the Triple Clown. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you guarantee the horse that won the race has absolutely no chance. May not even race in the next race. A lot of these horses don't race in all 3 races.
No, they've cut down on that.
Yeah,
they've cut down on that. They stop bringing in ringer horses.
Yeah,
that's how we've been able to get more Triple Crown winners now
lately. Yeah.
So they cut down on that shit, and well, they should. Listen. The interest in a Triple Crown winner is one of the highest rated sporting TV events on the planet, sporting events on the planet.
Well, you know what? This is going to lead into what I'm going to talk about again later on, about how big pari-mutuel betting actually is and how many lives it affects, how many jobs are created, not only through television, but and not only at the big races, but all the different tracks across the country.
All right, don't give it away.
We'll leave it at that. Quick update in the NBA if you guys want to know. Raptors are up by 7 with 12 seconds to go. I think that's a wrap. I think the Raptors make that series 2-2.
2-2?
Yeah, so let's talk some hoops.
Go Sixers.
Yeah, it's not this game.
We want to see old school, man. We want to see Sixers Boston. In the finals. That would be really good. Would love to see Milwaukee get to the finals.
Interesting series that is, too. That game is 2-1 Milwaukee. I was surprised the way they played in Game 3 and the way they handled Boston the way they did.
They've got the horses, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
They've got the Greek freak.
Yeah,
you don't have a Greek freak.
But you know what, though? I've watched a lot of Milwaukee basketball. As long as a lot of basketball this year. They still need – Bledsoe is a little inconsistent, can play a little defense. The second scorer typically has been Middleton, and he hasn't been super clutch. He's had he goes through stretches where he'll disappear for a game or 2 at a time. And during the regular season, that's okay. In the playoffs, it's not, because you don't have the game or 2 to not be 100% in. So it can't just be Giannis.
No makeup games.
It can't just be Giannis. So talented Middleton, Bledsoe, and they've got some help on the bench, but I still think Boston is going to take that series. But we'll see. That's tomorrow. But right now, Toronto looks like they've made that series 2-2. Game 4 of the other game is tonight, Portland-Denver. Portland They won in Denver. They've got a 2-1 lead. So they're looking to go 3-1 in that series. So basketball players are in full swing.
I'm one behind in my graphics.
Okay,
it's like
we'll get there. I'll
you
keep
talk
talking.
too fast.
I'll keep talking. We got stuff to talk about. Let's get back to a little bit of the Sixer game. Why do you think you're rooting for the Sixers, or you think the Sixers are just a better team in the series?
I'm rooting for the Sixers because I believe that they are the team that has the best opportunity, I think, to break the camel clutch that the Warriors have over the NBA championship. I think they have the horses.
I don't think the Warriors get past the
in
Rockets.
Harris, Embiid, Simmons, I think they have the horses. I really do.
Okay. What I was disappointed with today with the Sixers, and again, the game just ended, Embiid at one point late in the fourth quarter had 5 shot attempts. Simmons, again, non-existent. Butler and Harris, the two you mentioned, they played today. But if they had gotten any sort of a game from the big man or any sort of a game from Simmons, who, again, I can't understand. This kid cannot shoot in a gym that's empty, okay, by himself. So what are we doing here? I mean, it makes no sense that you can have that many talented players on the floor and not win the game. This was the game that the Sixers needed to win. They could have took a commanding 3-1 lead in this game at home. To me, this series is a coin flip at this point, at best. If not, Toronto maybe has the slight edge right now. So, to me, the experience of Leonard and the way Lowry's been playing this series, I think that's been the difference. I think that's why the series is tied 2-2 right now. So, advantage, I think, right now is Toronto in that series. And I don't think the Sixers have a chance to represent the East. I don't think even if they get past this series, they get past either Milwaukee or Boston. But we'll see.
You know what's really weird? I have a halo. I have like this halo on my head. It's making me crazy. But here's the point. When they do get a performance out of all 4 of their big 4, they are fairly unstoppable.
There's no question.
I mean, as simple as that.
But they haven't yet. See, that's the issue. So, yeah, if Embiid is at any time the best player on the floor, and today his stats didn't show that, and they lost. And it wasn't foul trouble. It wasn't foul trouble. It just, for some reason, maybe there's injuries. Again, this time of year, the players aren't talking about their injuries. You know they have them, but they all do. So you can't use it as an excuse.
Nope.
But the truth of the matter is it's 2-2 in that series, and I think advantage is now Toronto. So curious to see, though, people are probably paying most attention in this round. Boston, Milwaukee, as I'm sure, is guarding some attention. But Golden State, Houston, that series is 2-1. I think Houston has a really good shot to win Game 4, and I'm really rooting for Houston because I want to see this go 7. I want to see this a
chance
series
to steal, get the advantage back.
You know, I said it last year. I think Houston was the Chris Paul injury away from beating Golden State, and then we wouldn't even be talking about three-peats.
You get totally. I'm right there with you, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So for me, the key to Houston's success now is to make sure they're utilizing Chris Paul. His usage has to be the highest on the court. Now, again, Houston's offense, the way they run a lot of isolation ball. You see them spread the court. Harden's at the three-point line. He's either going to pull back and shoot the three, or he's going to try and penetrate. That's fine in situations where it calls for isolation. But when you're up the court and up the floor, the ball's got to be in Paul's hands.
We're talking about Ben Gordon, though. Ben Gordon is coming up huge.
Yeah.
He's
Eric Gordon.
Oh, Eric Gordon. Excuse me, Eric, not Ben. Eric
Gordon.
Eric Gordon is coming across with the games that they need.
Shooting 50% from 3.
Because that's the only way
he's been playing
they're
really
going
well
to be able to beat Golden State.
He's been the pretty much the third scorer all year. Capella's been the defensive guy, and at times he's had big offensive games, but he's more of a rim protector. He's a guy that's going to go off the pick and roll with Harden. Obviously, he's going to get some rebounds.
Golden State, he gets bored.
Well, Golden State defends the centers pretty well. I mean, they can throw bodies at you like Green and JaVale McGee, Kevin Looney. So they've got some bodies they can throw at him, and they do. But the key of the series is Chris Paul. If Chris Paul is playing, and if Chris Paul is hitting his shots, and he's distributing the rock, I think they win Game 4, and then you get another series in that one too. So we'll see.
You're getting way too much sunshine and spotlight there, I'm telling you.
I look pretty good, I bet, though, even in the sun.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Florida weather, dude. I mean, you've seen it. It's wrath of God, black clouds rolling in, lightning, power flashes,
and then let's
wind,
go play 9.
And then
let's go hit
all
some
of
balls.
A sudden,
pure bliss.
Just pure bliss,
skies
sunshine,
open,
birds chirping.
Of course.
900% humidity, but the water turns,
that's
the air
Florida.
turns
That's
to
where
mud.
we're at. So
yes, welcome to the jungle. All right, well, why don't we take a quick break, or do you have anything else to add?
No, just some more hoop stuff. I mean, just talking about the series. I think series. It's been good basketball right now. It's been a little bit of drama. There's been some stories to be told. Again, I'm glad to see at least there's going to be some more basketball. There's going to be no sweeps. I mean, this series looks like most of them are going to go at least 6. So, and that's good. Hey, more basketball.
Adam Silver's got to have a great big.
Yeah. People are making money.
Yeah. Well, he's also got he's got 5 major market teams in five teams. 5 teams are in the top 10 in media markets.
I'm sure they are. Boston, Houston, Golden State, because of California, obviously the market there.
Of course, Philadelphia,
Denver.
Denver. You know, yeah. I mean, there's only 2 medium market teams. And that would be
Milwaukee.
Yeah. Portland, let me tell you, Portland gets...
They're ravaged basketball fans, though.
Right. And
small market by TV standards.
And they get the Seattle crowd, though, because Seattle doesn't have a team. So
okay. Yeah.
So they get a little carryover there.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't we take ourselves a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll get right into the walk-off. How about that?
Sure.
You want to get some of that?
Sure.
All right, well, then, more Gonzo Radio Sports Desk right after this. Bada bing. Welcome back to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. I'm Big Daddy Gonzo. I'm your host. In case you had amnesia and forgot what the fuck you were doing while we were gone away on our 2-minute break.
We're back.
Well, we had to take a 2-minute break and check the latest updated scores. What's that final out there in Toronto?
Toronto won by 5. The final score was, I think, 101 to 96 was the final. Kawhi Leonard went for 39 and 14.
14 assists or rebounds?
No, rebounds. 39 points, 14 rebounds. 101-96 was the final. And I'll give you his exact. He had 5 assists. So, oh boy. 39, 14, and 5 for Kawhi Leonard. They went into that game with that Pascal Siakam, the rookie, who probably going to be Rookie of the Year. He had a calf contusion.
Yeah.
He played. He attempted to play, but wasn't much of a factor. So that's going to be something to watch, too. Regardless of that, it was the Kawhi Leonard show. And
right. Well,
Kawhi
Leonard's just showing his wares right now. He just wants to make sure everybody knows he's Kawhi. He's a badass.
And by the way, he was
call on me.
He was 13 of 20, so extremely efficient as well.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah, very, very impressive.
Where do you think he's going to end up next year?
I think he stays in Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. Especially if they get far in the playoffs. Yeah, I really do. I really do. I think he's going to be the type of guy, and I think you'll see this certainly looking back when it's over. I think he made his mark already in San Antonio. I don't think he has to do anything else necessarily.
He's got 2 rings?
2 rings in San Antonio. And now I'm not going to say he's going to win a ring in Toronto, but this performance today, not that he needed anything or anybody to say, we're Kawhi Leonard. No question, still top 3 right now in the NBA, okay? He doesn't have the flash the size of Giannis, okay? So people are never going to put him above Giannis. He doesn't have the size and the pizzazz of, like, say, an Embiid, even though he shit the bed today. He doesn't have the athletic ability of a Simmons who can't shoot in the gym. So all these other guys that he's supposedly not better than, guess what? He's better than. Because he's proven it. He's not only got the rings from before, but, and I know this is one game, but this was a game that Toronto had to win, not just for this series, but for Toronto basketball. They've been non-existent for many years, and the knock on Toronto is they're soft and this and that. This is a statement game for Toronto, I think. So if they get Sycam healthy for the next game, if he's back, if he can play, and they come off of this win like this, the way they played today, and get any sort of contribution from anybody else, I think
so no chance of going to L.A.?
I don't know if he wants to be partnered with LeBron.
Not with LeBron, with the Clippers.
Oh, the Clippers.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit where he goes in L.A., but he wants to go to the Clippers.
We'll see. To me,
he likes
hard.
Doc.
It seems hard for me to believe that if they go far in the playoffs this year that he would leave. Now, that's happened with other players before. I know, LeBron being the case in point, and many other players, Durant, etc. But I just think that it may kind of fit him personality-wise because he's not known as the outlandish, the lavish character type guy, me.
No, not at all.
He likes to sit in the dark. And Toronto is fairly out of the norm, I'm guessing. It's not in the main spotlight. It's not the medias of the New Yorks and the LAs and other stuff like that. And I don't think at this point in his career he wants to deal with that crap. Now, if it's business venture, if he wants to buy a home, if it's a more personal matter, that's a different story. But from a basketball perspective, why would he want to leave a place where they love him, he's successful, and they're winning? And he's the guy. So, I don't know. It just seems that some of these players it's not all about the move. Some of them are, but I don't think all of them are like that.
Would he be now? The question would be, if they brought more players in, if they told him, say, listen, we're going to sign you to a max contract, and we're going to pay you as much as we can possibly pay you,
right?
And then we're going to bring in other players.
Again, but
that would be your luxury tax violations.
I don't know the Toronto financial situation, but I know that they probably signed him knowing that at some point they would have to offer him the max. I don't think they would have gotten rid of DeRozan for just a rental. So I think they would have made better plans for the future and not just sold everything for this year. I think their intention is probably to hold on to Leonard. And if they do so, it's probably going to be part of their sell, is to continue to win. Lowry's not going anywhere. That rookie, if he wins Rookie of the Year, that's a hell of a sell. He's not going anywhere.
And Lowry disappearing in the playoffs.
I know, but not today. Not today. So, so we'll see. Again, for me, Leonard, I think he stays, especially if they win. It could change. I mean, again, we don't know the personal lives of these players. It seems to be the norm that players do leave, though. I'll give you that.
Well, and Toronto's really putting on the, hey, don't you love here in Toronto? Hey, go hang out with Drake. Hey.
They even try and bring the Olympics there to keep it there.
Low taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, free health care, legal marijuana.
Free salt for your driveway for the 6 feet of snow you get 8 months out of the year.
Yikes.
Yeah, not in Toronto, actually, but still. Yeah, it's cold up there. But again,
it's a nice, shiny city.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right, well, we've finished up basketball. Everybody's up to date, right? That was the last final score?
Yeah, next game, Portland-Denver. It kicks off at, I think, 8 or something like that, 8:30.
Jokic.
Yeah, what a beast. That kid's a beast.
Monster.
They're down 2-1. They're at home. The pressure's on them.
Well, and you know what's the difference is? This is his second year. And the head coach in Denver.
No, you're going to put me on the spot now.
Yeah, I can't remember right now. But he's the one that put the challenge to the kid. Get skinnier, get in better shape.
And he did.
And he went beyond in better shape. He was borderline MVP candidate.
He did. And it's fortunate for them because their guard play is good defensively.
Right.
But Jamal Murray is still a kid. And even though Jokic's a kid too, but Murray is not yet there. So
Jokic is 7 foot tall, for Christ's sake.
They run the offense through him probably half the time. His usage rate for a big man is probably second or third in the league, which means that the rock comes through him. So not only to shoot the basketball, but to facilitate the offense as well. So, yeah, he's definitely a top 5 guy in the NBA, certainly moving forward in the NBA's future. NBA's got a good future. There's so many young 21, 22-year-old guys. You know, the knock for a while, I thought, and a lot of people
the European players that are coming
well, that's
really
a big push, too, because they're playing pro-style basketball since they're 16 and 17 years old. They're not one and done in college and then making a jump to the pros.
Israel and Turkey
and Greece. A lot of
Greece.
guys. Oh, Israel, you're right. Israel and France and just a lot of places. But, yeah, so good for them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. So enough of the positivity. enough of the positivity. Enough of you saying nice things. Let's get to the walk-off. How about that? How about we get you, stick you in there, and flip one of those.
What I want to kind of just get to today is, and it just kind of parlays, good term, off of the race yesterday. I kind of have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more negative press pointed towards horse racing, pari-mutuel betting that involves horses, other animals, and such. Which
now, pari-mutuel wagering, which is different from casino games where you play against the house, no fixed odds.
Correct. This is, in this case, horse racing, and again, I'll mention the dog racing aspect of it because that's what the rant's actually about. But what I'm getting to is that I'm afraid that what happened in the race yesterday is going to increase the amount of not only negative press towards the sports, towards that sport in particular, but just the negative energy that's been surrounding horse racing and dog racing in general. So much so that here in the state of Florida, this last voting referendum, they have voted to abolish dog racing in the state of Florida. I think it goes into effect within 2 years. So my rant is such. I'm not one to say and turn a blind eye and say that there's not been abuse in these sports.
But what about the puppies?
That's been the primary driving force behind the people that are screaming is the abuse, the abuse, the abuse. Listen, there's no room for any abuse in sports, whether it's to a person, to an animal, to anything. There's not an excuse for it. And the ones that are responsible for this, for the abuse, they should be held accountable. The problem is they're not. What the state of Florida in particular has done over the dog racing industry as a whole is they've dropped an umbrella over the entire industry and said, we don't have enough sense in our government or in our protective agencies to police the industry, to bring the few that are guilty, to bring them to justice. So instead, we're just going to go ahead and abolish the industry altogether. Well, I'm here to talk about the guys that work at the racetracks, the guys that drive the trucks that bring supplies to the racetracks.
Programs, get your programs here.
The guys selling programs, the guys that are responsible for the veterinarians on the racetracks, professionals. What about all those people? What about all those jobs that are going to be lost? Who goes to these families, some of which, unfortunately, maybe, I don't want to say check to check, but need their jobs, which most Americans need their jobs. Most people need their jobs. That's why they work, okay? They work to survive. What happens to these people?
Well, if I may interject, okay, one of the reasons why they're going to eliminate this version, the dog racing, is they are going to turn these dog tracks, these pari-mutuel wager houses
into casinos. I get it.
So those people can go work in a casino.
I get it. But if you are working in a stable, I don't think they're going to hire you to deal blackjack. What I'm saying is that there's definitely attrition, and through the attrition, the jobs are lost. And through
the horse, he is a baby. He hears the crowd, and he doesn't hear the thing, and
through the attrition, these poor people don't have jobs. I'm just hoping that when these votes go through, and they've already gone through, that these people were able to find jobs, and that the people that were ultimately responsible for the atrocities that are committed in these sports, like the horse racing, and in the dog racing, and any other animals, turtles around a racetrack, whatever you may have. Those are the ones that should be brought to justice.
I like squirrel racing.
The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's just kind of how it goes, and it's unfortunate. So I'm speaking on behalf of those people that have been in the industry, some of them for their entire lives. My wife's father was a veterinarian, I believe, at Calder Racetrack for many, many years. Now, this is back in the 70s and 80s, many years ago, but still, there are still veterinarians at the racetracks today.
Well, the rich South Florida tradition of pari-mutuel sports that you can bet on.
Part of the culture.
Okay, is part of the culture.
Sure it is.
We're talking high-life frontons, harness racing, dog racing.
You have the Florida Derby,
racing.
You have Calder Racing in Hialeah, you had all these
I've been to the Florida Derby at Hialeah Park, at Hialeah racetrack, and I told you, I was like 7 or 8, and I was down. They have these beautiful aquariums that are indoor, like a pirate cove, air conditioned, and me and like 3 other people are down there. Meanwhile, 40,000 people are up in the grandstand screaming their brains out for the main feature race, and I'm just like, what's all the yelling about? I had no idea. But, as I grew older and I grew to appreciate Hialeah and Calder, and even going so far as to go to the Miami High Life Fronton and to go to the Dania High Life Fronton.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun.
I've been to a lot of tracks
Palm Beach.
in my years.
Yeah, Palm Beach Kennel Club is really cool.
One of my favorite movies of all time, Richard Dreyfuss.
I got your horse right here.
Let It Ride.
Let It Ride.
If you haven't seen this movie, people, please go and watch this movie. It is one of the funniest depictions of track movies that's ever been created. So very funny, very humorous. Richard Dreyfuss is awesome. Who was the woman that was in that movie? Why am I having a hard time remembering who she was? Though his wife.
Meg Tilly?
No, that was the girlfriend.
Oh.
That her legs went from her ass all the way to the floor. That was a quote in the movie. That was from Richard Dreyfuss.
I've been in love with Meg Tilly forever.
Anyway, great movie. Go watch it. So again, please. People are creating situations. There are bad people out there. Get the bad people. Don't drop umbrellas. Don't sweep nets and bring everybody involved. Unfortunately, these people, hopefully they can pick up and find jobs. So
well, and the unfortunate fact of life is that, and also let's remember, dog racing has run into disrepute. It has become less and less popular.
Sure.
I mean, when I was a kid, a few times as a teenager and a young adult, that I went to the dog track, the Kennel Club, West Palm Beach Kennel Club up here. Place was packed.
Oh yeah. I was going there
rafters.
in the mid '90s, late '90s for sure.
Yeah, packed to the even before they had casino, they had a poker room.
Yeah,
packed to the rafters, full of people having a blast.
Yeah. Again, I want to make it clear: abuse not to be tolerated.
Yeah, well, I was totally ignorant of it back then too, about how they dispose of racing greyhounds and things like that.
But go after after the accused.
Sure,
just go after please don't settle and just again just go after the accused. If somebody's doing something wrong, go after the ones that are doing the things wrong.
Right. Well, I learned about all of that from my second cousin, I guess you could say. He adopted 2 greyhounds. And these were great dogs.
Oh, they're amazing.
2 old
pets.
racers. And when I say old racers, I mean they were
4,
5 years old.
Exactly. By then they're finished. Yeah.
So, and they were great dogs.
Sure.
They were sweet dogs.
Yeah.
And at that juncture, I was like, are you serious? They do that? And I was horrified.
Huge adopted greyhound programs they had. Now, again, I've never tracked any of these programs. I've never tracked racing per se to say which tracks are guilty of this sort of crimes potentially. It doesn't matter. If they exist, then they should be found out and removed from the industry to make the industry whole, to make it so that the people that are thriving within the industry can continue to thrive and can be successful.
Ain't no doubt it.
But unfortunately, that's not the case. That society we live in now, it's quick results. It's basically that's where we're at. So,
you bastards.
Unfortunately, that's what I got for you.
That's all you got.
Yeah. So hey, by reminder, I'm not going to be here next week.
Oh, well, we may not do a show next week.
I'll be on vacation.
I have stuff to do next week too on Monday. So, you're going on vacation
with my
on your 7th vacation of the year, and it's only May
with my amazing wife. Yes, we are going to the Turks and Caicos.
If I had your amazing wife, I'd go on 7 vacations too.
Thank you very much. She thanks you too.
I would definitely, if I had a woman that amazing, I would I'd get her out of the country, away from people, as often as possible.
That means I'd have to leave the country too.
Hey, we've left the country.
Yeah.
It's listen, America is the greatest country on the planet, but there's a whole bunch of really cool ones out there too, the other countries.
I agree. Home is home, though.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us here at the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. You can catch Mazz on social media. Let's see. On Instagram, you are
just my name, Matthew Mazzaracchio.
Matthew Mazzaracchio.
Yeah, Twitter is MLB Joy Us US. MLB JOYUS.
Because he's a weirdo for baseball.
I like baseball.
And of course, the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk at Gonzo Radio Sports Desk on the Instagrams. At Gonzo Radio Sports or the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk on Facebook, both the community page and the group page.
Can I do something real quick to YouTube?
What's that? Yeah, I'm telling you.
Take that.
YouTube can bite me. Just made my life more difficult as a producer, but I got to put a little extra effort in just to keep Grandma from going, "That's my clip." All right, well, I'm Big Daddy. That's the Mazz. Say goodnight to the nice people.
Good night, nice people.
We will catch you guys in 2 weeks, unless I talk Randy Vega into coming in here. I'm going to talk to Randy Vega.
I have no problem taking.
We'll talk about professional wrestling for an hour. We will. People will just be like,
if I can catch it from Turks and Caicos, I will. I'll be on live stream. So
okay. All right. On behalf of myself and the Mazz, thank you so much. And if we don't see you next week, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Peace out.
Peace. Oh, there he is again.